hello. Hi. Hope you're well. Hope you're swell. Hope you're wavy. Hope you're wavy. Hope you're Hope you're gravy. I was having a discussion in the comments about yesterday's topic about the PlayStation 4 one. It just got me thinking even more. I was doing research, like how is PlayStation performing as a company, like sales wise, and so it's a mixed bag. There's good news, there's bad news. Good news is that record revenue, right? I think 2023 was the highest revenue year of all time. Billions and billions of dollars. Bad news is that profits are shrinking. They keep having to adjust their forecasts for PS5 sales because they keep selling less PS5s than they think they'll sell. I think this last quarter they thought they'd sell 24 million. They ended up selling 21. And you've got flops like Concord where they spent allegedly 400 million. And we know how that went. And games like Forspoken, which also flopped, and Spider-Man 2 was supposed to have DLC, but it didn't sell well enough, so they didn't. Or at least that's the speculation, which makes sense, because why didn't it have DLC? You'd expect games like that to have DLC content, but it didn't perform as well as they would have liked. So I think Sony was just like, we're not forking over more money if you aren't making money, like if you aren't making enough sales, because then the DLC requires a significant chunk of extra. Horizon Forbidden West didn't perform as well as they would have liked. The new Astrobot game, even though it was well received, won a Game of the Year award. Now, who trusts the Game Awards anyway these days? But it won a Game of the Year award. But it didn't sell very well. At least not as much as they would have liked. I don't know if that was its fault though. I don't know. But yeah, so like the record revenue sales, but profits are going down. Software sales are not good. So the first party titles are not selling well. They keep underperforming. And you compare them to a company like Nintendo, which has a lower revenue but very high profit margins, like 30% or something like that, 30% extra. Compared to Sony, that it's a lot higher than Sony. And Sony is just, look, I grew up on PS1, PS2, and PS3. That was a different time, man. The vibe, the PSP era, oh my god, the PSP era. It was a different time. Really themselves more seriously than they do now. They really value their IPs. Killzone was in its prime. Infamous was in its prime. You had Metal Gear, which wasn't an exclusive, but that's where it started before it ported onto other platforms. And it was seen as a PlayStation property, and Kojima had a relationship with PlayStation. And there was that infamous scene, that infamous level in PS1 with Metal Gear Solid, where Metal Gear originally launched, where you had to remove your controller from port 1 and put it into port 2, so that the psychic villain you're fighting couldn't read your moves, because there was a psychic character and you could read all your moves, so you couldn't shoot him because you'd always dodge. But then there was this trick where if you remove your port, because controllers were wired back then, they weren't wireless, they had cables. So if you remove your controller from port 1 and put it into port 2, then you're like, why can't I read your moves anymore? What's going on? It was very cool. But that was a classic PlayStation moment. That was like a gaming history moment. Shout out Hideo Kojima, was a genius. And stuff like that. We don't get that anymore. It's just not the same, man. I'm getting so frustrated thinking about it. It's making me so upset. But yeah, with my PS5 now, I try look for games to play, but I just find myself not satisfied. I really did want to enjoy Spider-Man 2. I thought it was trash. I thought the gameplay was good, but honestly, I'm a story guy, so if the gameplay isn't good, I mean, if the story isn't good, it doesn't matter how good the gameplay is. Well, that's not true. because Shadow of Mordor, I enjoyed that, even though the story was absolute bombs. But in this case, I expected a great story. Although, why did I? Because Spider-Man, the first one, on PS4, it was okay. The story wasn't amazing, but it was decent. It had enough there to have me looking forward to a sequel. And I thought they'd do bigger and better. I thought they would improve. No, they went backwards, in my opinion. Anyway, Sony with the first party titles just has not been doing well. That's why they consistently get outsold when it comes to software by Nintendo. Nintendo just has way better software than Sony does when it comes to like their games. It's not even like, I don't think anyone can dispute that. Talking about Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, all the Super Mario games, Mario Kart, what's it called, Animal Crossing, Pokemon. Like, come on, it's not even close, bro. They will consistently, year after year, outsell PlayStation when it comes to software, when it comes to games, which is probably the most important metric when you're talking about video game industry. Because what is the industry without games? What's a console without games? Games are the reasons you buy a console, to play the games. So if Nintendo sells the most games, that to me means, I think that makes them the champs, in my opinion, because you can have all these console sales, but what does that mean if people aren't super enthusiastic about your games and your brand as a whole? I'm not having fun anymore. I'm missing the old days because I feel like they really took themselves more seriously back then. Now all the exclusives are available on PC, so it makes you wonder, why do I even own this thing if it's just going to be available on PC? That's what's happening with Xbox right now. They're making all their exclusives available on PlayStation coming soon. You think I'm exaggerating? They're saying Halo this year could be on PlayStation, which is absurd. I never thought I'd see the day. But that's what they're doing, which is a sign of the end. Because Sega did the same thing. The famous Sega people that made Sonic. They used to have a console, the Sega Genesis, and I think the Dreamcast as well was that Sega? That was Sega, right? The Sega Dreamcast? That's cool. Dreamcast. Yeah, it was the Sega Dreamcast and the Sega Genesis. I don't know what else they had. And they had a bunch of Sega first-party games, and they just shipped them off to other platforms, and that was the beginning of the end for those people. And they exited the console space. They exited the gaming space because they're still here technically. Sega's still here technically, but come on, what new property have they put forth in recent history that's like been nearly as successful as something like Sonic? New Sega games. The answer is nothing, man. I'm not seeing anything. Because a lot of this stuff is like remakes, re-releases. They used to be the dogs. I mean, yeah, they got Sonic X Shadow Generations, I guess, but yeah, I mean that's an old property. They're benefiting off of stuff they did in the past. They never made anything new. They used to be big dogs, man, and now they're just profiting off of the past. This is very sad to see, man. But Sony is headed in the same. Xbox is closer to that than Sony is. Xbox is basically done at this point, and everyone's seen it coming for a long. People have been saying this for years. That these people are on the way out. But Sony, I think if they don't change course, they're going to be doing the same thing because they're already pawning off their exclusives, which is never a good sign, man. It means your priorities are not in the right place. That's what sells you the console. Games sell console. It's basic. But anyway, it got me thinking about the PS Portal. Because, I was saying, this thing is, guys, it's trash. It's genuinely trash. But someone in the comments was saying, no, it's actually good. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I think for what it does, so it streams games. Maybe there are people, it sells out when you're constantly having to restock because it keeps selling out. And clearly there's a market for it. I understand that. But the point I'm making is bigger, which is that you've got this streaming device. That's all it is. It's just another screen that lets you play your PS5 games. It's just another screen, guys. And it costs more than a Nintendo Switch Lite, which is a legitimate console. It has its own library of games that it can play locally. You don't have to stream it. You don't have to be online. You can play them offline because it has hardware that allows you to run the game locally. And yeah, it has its catalog of games. You can play Breath of the Wild, you can play Tears of the Kingdom, you can play all these things. It's a genuine portable console. The PlayStation Portal is just a streaming device, but it costs more than the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is absurd to me. It'd be one thing if it was cheap. It's not. It's not cheap at all. It's just a streaming device. We deserve better than this. So going back to what I was saying about the issues it's having with profits, because when you have high revenue, when you have record revenue sales in a year, but your profits are shrinking, you know what that means? It means your costs are too high. It means you're spending too much money. It means you're basically spending more than you're earning. Not really, but like your profits are shrinking. So very soon it's going to be a situation where you're spending more than you're earning. You're spending too much money on things that no one cares about. That's what that tells you, which means that you're bad with money, which means you need to start firing people because there's people working making bad decisions with money. And my whole point about the PlayStation Portal was that these people are sitting on gold and they're not using it. Why the hell is the PlayStation Portal a thing? Why not make an actual handheld, like an actual PSP that can do what the PlayStation Portal does? It's a handheld that can stream games and do all these things that people want it to do. You can play your PS5 games remotely. And the main thing it does is play its own dedicated library of games. Do you know how much money these people would make? They make billions if they did that. Because look, guys, I can't stress how stupid this thing is. It just frustrates me. It just makes me so angry. Like they're selling out. They're selling out with the PlayStation Portal. Clearly, there's a market for it. Right? People want something they can play their games remotely with and all sorts of things. You can see the signs that there's a craving for handheld experiences, right? Do you know how much more they're making money with this PlayStation Portal thing? Do you know how much more they would make if they had an actual library dedicated to this thing? It's an actual console. Make it look better than what it looks now. I don't like how it looks. I mean, it's not a console. It was never meant to be that anyway. So you'd make something that's an actual console. Make it look sexy. Get it some good hardware so it can play games at good resolution, good frame rates, all these sort of things. High refresh rate screen, high like 1080p Full HD, all that sort of stuff. Make it OLED. This is expensive, but I mean your PlayStation. Where's the money? I'm talking about record revenue, right? And all these sort of things. And they recently reported like a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, they came out and said that the PS2 is the best-selling best-selling console of all time. You better have something to show for all that success. So yeah, go all out, make it a proper device, OLED, Full HD. What would you say? 120 hertz refresh rate. I think that's pretty good. 120 hertz. 60 FPS too much to ask for. I don't think so. Make it 60 FPS, but screw it. And then it becomes a question of what games does it have, because you can have all that. If your games are trash, it's not going to sell well. The console just won't sell well. So then I was actually thinking just now in the shower, like what games could they put on that? And it's like, I remember the PSP. What a legendary era, right? There were a lot of spin-off games on the PSP. So you had Tekken Dark Resurrection, which was a spin-off of Tekken 5, and it followed. It mainly focused on. No, I don't think it mainly focused on Jin, but Jin was the character on the cover, and I think it did actually focus on Jin's story, but you know, it had all the other characters in it and whatnot. But it was like it was a spin-off. It had its own little story, and it was very popular. I remember in primary school there was a guy. I didn't own a PSP, but I had a friend who owned a PSP, and he'd always bring it to school and we'd play. Like we just pass the thing around and play Tekken Dark Resurrection. It's so fun, and there were other games that we play on there as well, like GTA. I think GTA had some PSP exclusive titles. If I remember correctly, let me Google. Did GTA have PSP exclusive? Yes, Vice City Stories. I was never a big GTA fan. I never got the hype, and I still don't get it. But I remember that being such a massive game in primary school, man. We had no business playing games like that. That was a rated R game. We were little kids playing. I wasn't playing. I didn't care. It didn't look fun to me. But a lot of other kids were just super crazy about GTA, and you had a PSP game, GTA Vice City Stories, which was a spin-off of Vice City, if I'm correct. Let me Google that as well, just to make sure I get that right. GTA Vice City. Yeah, it was its own game, Vice City. And Vice City Stories was like a spin-off of Vice City. It was like extra content exclusive to the PSP, at least during that time. Eventually, after the PSP like completed its lifespan, I think they started putting it on mobile, and I'm pretty sure you can probably get it on consoles too. I'm sure they made like a console port, like a PC port or something like that. But that's proof of concept, right? You had a God of War game that I remember was exclusive to the PSP. What was it, Chains of Olympus or something like that? You had a Ratchet and Clank game, a Ratchet and Clank spin-off. It was Agent Clank. I remember it was you're playing as Clank, but it's like a secret agent theme, like a 007 kind of vibe going on. You had a bunch of games on PSP that were not available anywhere else. It was not available on the PlayStation. It was just PSP. You had to own a PSP to play those games. They gave people a reason to own a PSP, and the PSP was wildly popular as a result of it. And they were selling so much software along with hardware. You didn't see the software deficit in terms of sales that they're experiencing now. So, right now, they're just not doing well in terms of software sales. You know how you fix that problem? You take advantage of the decades of IP you've built. You create a nice, compelling handheld device, something sexy, something that's got great hardware, can run games at high specs, and you start making spin-offs. I was thinking to myself, well, what spin-offs would they make? Like new ones. And I was like, okay, one idea that came to my mind, like, you know Mimir from God of War, the talking head that Kratos keeps on his belt. You could make a Mimir puzzle game. It's such a slam dunk. a Mimir game where you'd have to be creative with your writing. Like, why does Mimir have his own game? How did he end up getting into his own adventure? You could make something up. It's a very cerebral experience. Maybe he gets trapped in some magical realm, and that has some interesting implications for how you use it. Maybe he gets a body in that realm or something like that, or you get creative with it, right? And you make it a puzzle game where you're solving puzzles because he's literally the smartest man alive, right? That's his whole thing. He's like he's extremely smart. He knows a lot of things. Therefore, it just makes sense to make a puzzle game from him here. And then you put that on the handheld thing. That would be a fun handheld experience. Something you can play on the go if you're if you're like waiting at the airport or something. You put that on. It engages your brain. You pause time. You make it super fun. You give it a story, and you could get creative with it. You can make it a really entertaining experience. Because Mimir is funny. Maybe you can include Kratos somehow. But you do whatever you have to do to make that a fun experience, right? So that's one spin-off you can do. Another thing I was thinking of is like PlayStation has had kart races in the past, but they haven't done it right, man. I feel like Mario Kart is like so good because it does such a great job of incorporating all Nintendo's IPs into one game and making it super fun. It's high time PlayStation does something similar. You could have a PlayStation kart racer. I don't know what they'll call it, but you have a PlayStation kart racer where imagine Kratos driving a kart and what cool abilities his kart would have. You could give each kart its own power up or whatnot, or you could have like general power ups that everyone can use. It's up to you, but I think it would be an interesting thing to like give each kart its own power up or whatnot, differentiate it from other kart racers. I don't know if that's a new concept, but that's something you could toy with and think about. Like make each kart unique so people can pick between different karts, and it'll be a lot of work because if you've got like 100 karts. I mean, look, it's the same thing as fighting games, right? You create different characters with different skill sets and movesets and whatnot. Like, yeah, we're here to work. We're not here to like fool around. Work hard. Make each card unique and give them unique abilities and whatnot. I think that would spice things up and separate it from Mario Kart. Make it different. And separate it from Crash Team Racing and all these kart racers that have similar features and systems, right? And Nathan Drake in his own kart. You've got Crash Bandicoot in there. You've got Aloy in there. You've got all the classic PlayStation characters in there. Jin Sakai. What is his kart? I don't know what. But all these characters, man. And you have a compelling kart racer with a great online component, just like Mario Kart does. Money. I can smell the cash right now. You do that. Then I was thinking, PlayStation has done the brawler genre before. I can't remember what the brawler. I think was it PlayStation All Stars or something like that. I think that did okay on the PS3. It was on the PS3, and I think that did okay. I don't know how well it sold. But instead of doing like a brawler, like what Super Smash Bros is, instead of doing that, have like a legitimate fighting game, akin to like Injustice and Mortal Kombat, where it's kind of like a multiverse situation. So this is what I would do. I'll bring all these characters together. Kratos, Nathan Drake, Solid Snake, the chick from Heavenly Sword, Aloy, all the classic Link, all these guys. There's a lot. Ratchet, all of them. Bring them into the game, and it's a fighting game. They fight each other. You got Marvel Spider-Man in there, and all the characters that come with that property, and then you give it a story. The obvious direction you go in is there's a rift in the multiverse, and we need to close it or something like that. But there's so many ways you could go about it. You could kind of break the third wall and be like the PlayStation dimension is at risk, and we need to save the PlayStation because someone's trying to corrupt it or something like that. I don't know. You give you give a reason for all these characters to come together and work together to save the day. Just like how with Mortal Kombat is a robust story and it's very involved and it's very deep and cutscenes are like high production level and same thing with Injustice. Like they didn't skimp on the story. To do that, but for like a handheld expense, I think this would be a very big budget game, but it's worth it. It'll make a lot of money. Fans would love that, and you make it a legitimate fighting game. Nathan Drake, how would he play as a character? I think that'd be interesting. Like you give him his guns. He's got a bunch of guns he can use and grenades, and he's got these funny quips. And you just obviously you're gonna have to take a lot of liberties because he's a normal ass nigga. Yeah, but it's the same thing as putting Solid Snake in Super Smash Bros. And making him fun to play as. The goal isn't to be realistic. The goal is to just have fun. So you'd make him fun to play as and really get creative with what abilities you'd have. Maybe incorporate some of the interesting relics that he's collected during his adventures in Uncharted 1, 2, 3, all these sort of things. Maybe we can have access to those relics that give him power-ups and you get creative with it, I don't know. You put Solid Snake in there. How does he play? How does Kratos play? Kratos would be fun to play as with his, what do they call the Blades of Chaos or something like that? And the axe and the spear and all this, like, he'd be fun to play as, and Atreus would be in there with his shape-shifting abilities and his astral projections and all that sort of stuff. All these characters would be in there, man. Spider-Man would be in there. It'd be crazy. It'd be genuinely crazy. And it would sell well, especially if you put like a strong online component that lets people compete, like proper competition. Obviously, it would be limited by the fact that it's exclusive to the handheld. Don't make this available on other consoles. The whole point is that it's supposed to drive sales for the console, so you lose that when you start prostituting it onto other platforms. Even if you just put it on the PS5 or the PS6 or whatever, right? It's still, like make it exclusive to what we'll call like the PSP. Make it exclusive to the PSP and you have a good online component that gives the game longevity. You introduce new characters over time. You'll make so much money, man. You'll make so much money. Bring back Sly Cooper. People have been wondering where the hell is Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper getting handheld experience. Bring back Jak and Daxter, maybe. I don't know. I've never played Jak and Daxter, so I don't know how the story ended. If it would make sense to have a new entry in the franchise. But there's a lot of things you can do. You can create new franchises, man. Why don't we have new things? Always bringing back old shit. You can also have like space for new stuff as well. More platformers, of course. You could have a new Spyro game. It's been a while since we got some new Spyro. Bro, like, be creative, man. A new Killzone. Oh my god. People have been wondering what happened to Killzone. Bring that back. You make money. You make money. But these people are too stupid to do it. It's low-hanging fruit. It's right there. It's right there and they can't do it. Because again, it's the thing of like, you need to be involved with the culture to know these things. That's why Reggie Fils-Aimé, the former president of Nintendo of America, was such a genius. Because he understood, man. He understood what the fan wanted and consistently delivered. And he left with the legacy of the Nintendo Switch. That was developed under his tenure. That was released under his tenure. He gets credit for that. Great legacy. If Sean Layden and Herman Hulse disappeared today, I mean, that did happen with her. Sean Layden's gone. He He left. He retired from his position. No one cared. Herman Hulst, if he retired, no one will care. Because they're not real figures that people respect and find interesting, actually improve the company. No one will miss them when they did from their positions. So there's a lot of things you could do to really boost Sony sales and take them to the next level. And also fans need to also like hold people accountable, because there are a lot of fans that just take whatever slop they're given. It's like the iPad. I mean, it's like Apple with Apple products. Apple always introduces features that other phones have had for a long time, much later on. And Apple fans are like, that's fine because the features are always done better anyway. It's like, it's so ridiculous. It's like, the idea that customizing your home screen, having wallpapers, and being able to change your app icons and all these sort of things, that iPhone users are only experiencing that just now. And this is a thing we used to do in high school in 2013. Way before that even. Like, how are you just now getting these features? It's insane, man. I'm sure you had wallpapers. I don't think the wallpaper thing is true. But just the customization of your UI, they're just now introducing that, which is so like the iPad got a calculator last year. Are you insane? How are you getting a calculator just now? How did the iPad not have a calculator until now? And people will say, yeah, but now it has all these cool features. It's like, guys, it's a calculator. No one's going to use those features except for like a very small percentage of people. How do you just now get a calculator? Because y'all put up with this nonsense. So with the PlayStation Portal, I feel that we should be demanding more. Why the hell does that thing cost more than a Nintendo Switch Lite? It's not justifiable. It's like, what's wrong with you people? This is too expensive. And this is not what we want. We want make an actual console, fools. I think that's the energy we should have, because like that's why the free market is beautiful. Is because it allows us to hold companies accountable by voting with our money. And if we take away the money, they'll panic and start to like, we need to adjust for the sales of all that. Oh, these people are driven by profit. So if you just take away the profit, they're gonna start scrambling. But if you keep rewarding them for the bare minimum, because they'll know that as long as we do the bare minimum, we'll still get rewarded handsomely. So you don't have to work too hard. That's what they're seeing when people make the PlayStation Portal sell out. We can do the bare minimum. You don't have to make a console, just make a streaming device. We don't have to make new games, just stream the old ones. And y'all lap it up. Oh my god, this is so amazing. No, it's not. This is trash. Make a console, damn you. How's it been this long since the PSP? Why did you discontinue the PSP? That was great. You should have kept making new versions. PSP 2, PSP 3. What's wrong with you fools? That's the energy we should have as customers. I think the relationship between customers and businesses should be mutually beneficial, where it's like businesses can explore new ideas and lead and innovate, so that you're not slaves to your customers. Like, you can try new things and take risks, but customers are getting what they want from you. They're receiving surprises and things they didn't know they wanted, but they're also getting what they actually want. So it's that mutually beneficial thing where you're serving each other. You're making the companies rich and they're making you happy with their products. That's what matters. Right now, I just feel like y'all are just giving these companies too much, man. And they're taking advantage. And they're getting lazy and complacent. Because they're giving us a bunch of nonsense and everyone's just like, yeah, this is great. No, it's not. It's not great. This is not great. It could be so much better, guys. Let's not settle for nonsense. Anyway, y'all let me know what you think in the comments. You know, I like to pray at the end of my videos. Dear Father God, I thank you for this individual watching this right now. Thanks for making them whole, unique, and guiding them on a path towards peace, prosperity, and purpose. Thanks for blessing this person, wonderful people in their life who love them, take care of them, bring the absolute best out of them. And thank you for maintaining the ones that are there to do the same thing. Thank you for blessing this person with love and marriage, sustaining the love and marriage and making very, very happy. Thank you for blessing this person with the spirit of gratitude so they can give thanks for all the wonderful things in life. And by giving thanks, they can find peace, contentment, and attract even more blessings. Let your presence be felt in this person's life so they know that you're God, that you're real, that you love them, and you're always going to be there for them. Good health, long life, and happiness over this person. Everyone that care about it. In my name I pray, in Jesus' name I pray. Amen, 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 amen.